Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. And now your host, me, Shane Lakita. Hey everybody, welcome to another week. Here we are with another episode of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. Can you believe it's been a week already? A week since the last time I sat down with you to talk to you about investments and return on investments and small investments with guaranteed returns and our ability to be able to make those investments whenever we need to and be able to push forward. If you haven't listened to episode 150, pop over there first and then pop over to this one on this episode because they kind of go in conjunction with each other. This is episode 151, and we're going to go right into the meat and potatoes of this podcast here in just a few moments. But first, I just wanted to reflect on the last week. So here I was over the weekend, inspired by so many folks and so many things that we were doing. I was inspired by looking at all the social media platforms, looking at people out doing their walks, doing their runs, walking their dogs, getting out and about, getting exercise. And if you're not motivated by any of that stuff, or you're not motivated by looking at others that are in successful places or that are feeling good about what they're trying to be able to do or those kind of things, then you're living on a rock somewhere, because every single turn that I made this last weekend, everybody was out trying to be able to just get some fresh air, get some warmth, get something to be able to get out there and make stuff happen. Walking marathons, walking 5Ks, running marathons, getting out with the kids. I saw all kinds of different avenues that people were taking on Instagram and Facebook this last weekend. So I was super inspired, and I personally went out and did on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday about 4 miles a day. So it got me moving and it got me grooving, and I'm appreciative of every single person that I'm friends with, that I follow, that I'm in tune with on social media. And this is just another avenue. I listen to other podcasts also when I'm traveling throughout the week, and this is just another avenue, another medium that I use to be able to inspire me, move me forward, and be able to get me to a place that I need to be in my journey of what I'm trying to accomplish and all those things. So I'm appreciative of everybody that's out there that's just trying to be able to work hard and make things happen. Whether you're struggling, whether you're succeeding, or whatever, we're all in this journey together. And no matter what we're trying to be able to work on, there's going to be ups and downs, and we have to share those. And this is one of the ways that we can do it, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through social media, whether it's through blogging, whatever medium that you use it. Because you never know who you're going to inspire and who you're causing to be able to turn a leaf and be able to be inspired to doing great things that they want to be able to accomplish and go and make things happen. So share your stories. Don't hesitate, okay? That's my opening act to this podcast here on this episode of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, bear yourself back, show others that there's a way and a way to be successful, and show others also when you're struggling, there's a way to also bounce back from those struggles and those trials and tribulations we go through. So thank each and every one of you and everybody out there in the social media world. Although it can be a very difficult place, it can be mean, it can be pretentious, it can be monotonous, it can be aggressive, but if you find the right people to follow and you go down the right road of surrounding yourself with people that can share stories and help you to be able to give you the opportunity for you to get to where you want to go, focus in on that, and let's go ahead and just lean in on those situations, including hopefully this podcast and what it does for you. Every time that I put out a new one, I always get great feedback from you guys saying that you needed this, or you listen to it during your runs, or you listen to it during your swims, or whatever it is that just gives you that extra oomph for you to be able to go and be successful in everything you're trying to do, okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started with the podcast. All right, guys, so let's get started here and let's get moving and be able to move right into the content of this podcast. I had a couple things that is on my mind that I was just jotting down as the week went along, because I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to talk to you about it and be able to discuss things with you, because you guys mean everything to me, and hopefully the content that I bring to you, it means something to you also. So I know last week, like I said, like I opened with in the podcast intro, that we talked about investing. And we talk about making investments for your long-term growth and making sure that you have a return on investment. And why don't we make the investments that are necessary for us to be able to be successful, just like we would with other things like lottery and winnings and everything else. But the one thing I wanted to talk about this week is about controllables. Anybody that's in business or anybody that's able to work in the space of controllable assets, controllable finances, controllable inventory, and those kind of things, know that term of controllable means many different things. But I wanted to read the definition of it that I got from the dictionary before I got started with the podcast here. And controllables are this. Controllables are things that are capable of being directed or influenced, that can be safely regulated or limited. So things that can be influenced or directed are things that we can change. These are things that we can move and be able to move the needle a little bit, maybe redirect things. So when you're in business, you want things to be able to happen towards your profits to be more to be larger, or you want things like your inventory to be at a level where you're not having too much on hand and you're able to reinvest that and be able to sell the product that you have on hand and those kind of things. It's all interesting because the controllable aspect of everything is one of the things in business that we know we can control those things. But in business, we also talk about the things that we can't control, whether it's inflation, whether it's environmental or economic downturns, or the way that the dollar is, or the way the dollar is stacked up against places like Canada or China or different places like that, or whatever it is. Some things you just can't control. And so in business, you have to make decisions based on the fact of you have the things that you can control, and then you have the things that you can't control. In life, in our journey, it's the same exact thing. I got to thinking, I was sitting there having a business meeting with one of the owners of one of the businesses that I'm a consultant for. We sat down and we're having a conversation, and we're talking about leaning in on the things that he has the control over, that he can make a big difference on, impact right now, and then also impact the future or longevity of his company and the finances that they're trying to be able to work with. So it's all great, and it's all mumbo jumbo to anybody that doesn't really talk business or talk about finances or things like that. But I then started to, as I got in my car and I started driving back to southern Maine to go back home, I got to thinking to myself, okay, so how can I relate that to my journey and what I'm trying to be able to do in my journey? How often have we sat down and talked to ourselves about the fact that we're so frustrated by certain things? Like I told you earlier, we make that little 4% investment, but the return on investment is a guaranteed thing, but we talk ourselves out of doing things because of, for whatever reason, whether we don't want to be able to go to the gym, or we don't want to go for a walk, or it's too cold, or it's got snow on the ground, or anything like that. We talking to ourselves out of any of those kind of things because, why? We just get in our own way. And there may be certain things that we're just not really feeling up to par with. We're not feeling good about. We're not feeling like we're in the know of. We feel like it's things that are huge roadblocks for us to be able to overcome. And so the controllable piece is this. This is what I think of to myself. The things that I can control are wide and vast, but I sometimes feel like I can't control those things, like hunger pains. Let's say, for instance, you haven't eaten much all day long. You get home, you eat your dinner, and then at nighttime, you start watching TV, you start watching sports and doing whatever. And then what do? You go into the cabinet, you start snacking on something in the cabinet, you start snacking into the freezer, dipping into the ice creams, doing the different things that you shouldn't be doing and the things that you don't want to do, but you do because you're hungry and your body tells you, I'm hungry. Well, the controllable aspect of it isn't necessarily the hunger feelings that you're having, because sometimes you can't control that. But what you can control is the amount of eating that you do throughout the day to set yourself up for success when you are going through the evening time hunger strike that you go on. Okay, so here you are throughout the day. If you layer out things like snacks throughout meals, so you eat your breakfast in the morning, eat a nice hearty breakfast, get yourself nice and full for the day to kick yourself off for energy, then have a small snack in between breakfast and lunch, and then a good sized lunch to be able to eat a sandwich or some proteins or some sort of carbohydrates or something to be able to get you moving, and then another snack in between then and dinner, and then a good-sized dinner, not too big, not too carb-filled, that's going to make you feel just down in the dumps, or you feel like like it's weighing on you, whatever. And then maybe a small healthy snack in between or after your dinner, in between the times that you're going to start watching TV and those kind of things. So the reason I shared that is because that's a controllable thing that you did. You controlled the amount of food that you ate throughout the day to be able to set yourself up for success in the nighttime. If that's your area of opportunity, if that's the area that you work at to be able to, or the area that you struggle in is nighttime snacking or calorie binging or those kind of things at nighttime, then set yourself up for success during the day. Control the things that you're doing during the daytime to set yourself up for night, and leave it out there for you to be able to be successful. Accept the fact that you're setting yourself up for that positivity, embrace it, and celebrate in that. That you just set yourself up all day long with controlled items that you're able to get in front of to be able to utilize and do throughout the day to give yourself success at nighttime. And then let's just say, for instance, you still fall off the radar, you're still starving, you're really hungry. Then what else can you control? Again, you can't control how you feel. I can't control how my body tells me I'm hungry or I've got an appetite for something. But what I can control then would be, what have I set myself up for in the house that can help me be successful moving forward right then and there to be able to deliver on that? Have I outfitted myself with healthy snacks? Have I put good foods into the cabinets versus Oreos and Chips Ahoy and Ho-Hos and Ring Dings? Have I set myself up with fruits and vegetables and some healthier dips to be able to put those into to give myself that feeling that I'm actually cheating on something, but I'm not, and I'm able to be successful with the way that I want to move forward? Okay, so those are the things that I can control. I can control the amount of food that I'm eating during the day, and then I can control the types of foods that I'm snacking on in the evening. So just think about all those things, right? Think about the fact that you are in a space that you can control certain things. But what do we normally fixate on in those situations when we're hungry at nighttime and we start to snack on stuff that's inappropriate or stuff that we shouldn't be snacking on? What do we always fixate on? We always tell ourselves, I can't control that. I can't control what I'm eating. I can't control how I'm feeling. I can't control that because I'm a food addict, or I've got stress in my life and I've got all these different things. Well, you can control the external factors that are coming into play with how you're feeling at that moment in time. You may not be able to control your hunger, but you can control what you put into your pie hole. You can control what you are eating and what you are partaking in, but you just choose not to a lot of times because it just feels better and easier to eat something that's unhealthy or not up to par. All right, so let's not talk about food then, right? So let's go down another avenue. What you can control. What are some things that you can treat as controllables that can have the ability to be able to bend and flex? How about working out? There's another one that a lot of us run into. I don't have the time. I'm working 5 days a week. I don't have the energy at nighttime to go to the gym. I can't go for a walk because of the weather. I don't want to be able to do it because I got family. I got all the stuff I'm going to take away from my family time. So I don't want to work out because I want to be able to invest in that time. All those things. We can come up with every single excuse of why we're not going to work out, why we're not going to be able to get some exercise and do those kind of things. But at the end of the day, what's the real reason? So we come up with all these excuses of why not to. What do we have in our control? Well, it's pretty simple when it comes to working out. One of the biggest controlling factors you have is to put one foot in front of the other and actually go and do it. Because 9 times out of 10, when you go and actually do it, you feel so nice and great and amazing after you get done with it that you feel like you could conquer the world. And then you feel like, why didn't I think of that before before I started to doubt myself, or before I started to tell myself I can't do this or I can't do that? Why couldn't I have just gone and done that? Well, the reason is because a lot of times we get in our own way, right? Again, we get in our own way. We're not controlling what we can control and doing the things that are necessary for us to be successful. Okay, so the first part of the controllable with working out is put one foot in front of the other, go out, make it happen, step forward, and just go and do it. Just pull the trigger, get it done, make it happen, and move. So that's the first controllable when it comes to working out. Second controllable is, how about setting yourself up with a schedule? How about going into your calendar and setting aside time that you can go work out at that works within the realm of all the things that you got going on in your life? If you got kids, you got daycares, you got dinners to set up, you got all the other things that you have that on top of your regular job and other things that you're doing, and you got all this stuff that's going on in your life. How hard is it for you to be able to set up a calendar, set out for just you and your workout time to do 1 hour or a half hour or whatever it is, set aside for you to go be successful? How hard is that? It shouldn't be too hard. That's a controllable item. That's something you can control. You can control what that calendar looks like. You can pick and choose what day. You can pick and choose how long or what the frequency is going to be of that workout. You can control that. But so often do we blame it on the fact that life got in the way. I can't control that. I can't control the fact that my kids got called home early from being sick. I can't control the fact that the weather was bad. I can't control the fact. All the things that we can't control start to overwhelm the things that we're trying to be able to get in front of to be successful. You see where I'm going with this? Control the controllables. Don't focus on the things you can't control. Because once you do that, you then set yourself up for defeat or failure. Because if you can't control something, what happens? We blame all of our failures and all of our downtrodden, all the stuff that we're not doing, all the bad things that are happening in our lives on the things that we can't control, like death, like taxes, like all that stuff, the stuff that we can't control. Then we get in a really bad space. We start to beat ourselves up and we start to feel bad about ourselves, right? So you see where I'm going with this. So you got workouts. You can control it. You can control the external factors. And so here's the other piece to it. This is the part that's going to help you out a lot. It helps me out all the time. Be open to flexibility. Okay, so if you set yourself up a calendar to go set up your workouts, or you go to set up your runs, or you got them in the schedule because you're saying to yourself, this is the time that I can set aside for it. It's okay if something happens that it gets in the way. Just reschedule. Reschedule for the next day. Adjust. Don't forget about it. Just adjust. Don't turn it off because of the fact that you say, well, I could have done that today, but I'm not going to do it. I'll just wait for the next one. Don't wait for the next one. Reschedule. Reschedule that appointment. Reschedule your workout appointment. Reschedule that time with the trainer. Reschedule your Orange Theory appointment. Reschedule whatever it is that you're doing to work out and feel good about yourself. Keep it on the schedule. Just move it around a little bit. Adjust it. See what you're doing? You're controlling the controllable. You're controlling the fact that something that came in that says, I've got control of you, I'm going to push you this direction, and you say, okay, I'll take care of that. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and move forward with it. I'm going to live in that space and deal with the life situation that just happened, but I'm still going to be able to move this just over to here. I'm controlling the dynamic of that calendar appointment. I'm moving that forward for me to be able to put it to a place that I can be successful. That's what I'm going to do. I'm in control. I can make that happen. No excuses. Let me go make it happen. So we talked about food, and then we talked about working out. All these things that get in the way of our journeys, all these things that we can't necessarily feel like we're in control sometimes because life is just difficult sometimes, and it really does deal us some bad cards, but that's okay. Just focus on what you can control and try to control them. That's it. I mean, it doesn't have to be rocket science, and it also doesn't have to be perfection. If you can't control that controllable on that day and do that aspect of it on that day, don't derail your whole entire journey based on the fact that you have one day you had a setback or one day that you had something you couldn't do at that moment in time, right? You know, and the second part of this podcast, on top of just being able to control what you can control. So that's the theme, right? Control your controllables and be able to adjust wherever you need to adjust, change the things that you can change, work on the things that you know you're able to work on, and push all the things that you can't control aside because you're not going to be able to change them. If you fixate on the fact that you want to try to control those or change those things that are unchangeable, then you're really going to start spinning your wheels. You're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face, and you're not going to be able to get back up and be successful in the direction that you want to go. So here's the second thing I wanted to talk about. It was a blog entry that I made the other day, and I posted it on Instagram and on Facebook. It's in conjunction with all this stuff because it's all about headspace. It's all about where we're at in the journey. And if we are so fixated on trying to be able to lean in on those things that we can't control, our minds and our headspace gets in a really, really bad place, right? I mean, how often have we tried to be able to change things that we know we can't change, and then we fall on our face and we just like, oh, I'm a failure. I'm not good at what I'm doing. I'm just not being successful. And then we fall off the radar. We might gain weight. Maybe we're leaning back on bad habits or whatever it is, and then we start to slide and it starts to become a bad situation. So here's the other thing. Don't forget, in the times that we're living in right now and the things that you're trying to be able to accomplish, don't forget to breathe and enjoy the moment. Okay? We're so fixated. We're so honed in on the things that we're trying to accomplish. And we're so fixated on the things that we can't change. And we're so fixated on the things that get in our way, the obstacles that come after us, and all those things. We're so fixated and we're so focused that next thing you know, a year later, we forgot to just breathe and live in the moment. We forgot to enjoy time with our family. We forgot time to just work our way up in the gym and be able to just enjoy the workout versus I got to be focused, got to be driven, got to be this, got to keep moving, got to keep this all the time, over and over and over and over. And then next thing you know, our kids are grown up. They're out of the house. They're doing their things. You know, we're not able to enjoy the smaller things in life. We're not able to enjoy the little things. And next thing you know, we're older and we're looking up going, what just happened? Well, it just passed. It flew right by me. I don't understand this. So while you're controlling the controllables, while you're adjusting to things that you know you can change, changing the things that you know you can change, living in the space to know I can make adjustments, I can bob and weave, and I can do the things that are necessary for me to be successful, and I don't have to be perfect, remember to breathe and enjoy the moment. Just stop for a moment and think to yourself, how proud am I that I'm actually working on myself? I'm listening to podcasts. I'm working out at the gym. I'm doing the things that I need to do to be successful, to get in the right mental headspace that I've never done before because all I've ever done is just tried to live life. Well, now enjoy the moment. Step back and say to yourself, I am damn proud of who I am and what I've done. I'm proud of the fact that I'm putting one foot in front of the other and I'm trying to get some self-help here. I'm trying to get in front of the fact that these are the things that I failed at in the past. I'm trying to learn from my mistakes and continue to push forward. Be proud of the fact that you're trying to be able to better yourself. Breathe and live in the moment. Okay? Enjoy the moment that you're in. And it may not seem enjoyable all the time, and that's okay. I mean, I get it. Sometimes life does happen and we have to be grieving or we have to be in sorrow sometimes or we have to cry it out sometimes, all those things. But just remember, if you're above the ground and you're not 6 feet under and you're breathing every morning that you get up and you have healthy children or you have healthy family, or even if you don't have as healthy of a family, but you're still trying to work on those, you're a caretaker and you're doing the things that are necessary for you to do. Just remember, you're breathing in and out and you're alive. Just live in that space for a moment. It doesn't have to be all positive. It just has to be in the space that I'm alive, I'm living, and I'm breathing, and I still have a chance to make a difference in my life. I still have a chance to leave a legacy that people can look back and say, wow, you lived a really great life, or this was a really good person. I still have a chance to make a difference and live a long, prosperous life for my family. Even if they're already out of the house and they're off to college, I can still live a long life for them when grandkids come around or when they want to celebrate in some of their victories or when they're walking down the aisle and those kind of things. Just live in the moment and know that you should be proud of all of the things that you do. If you're trying to make progress, that's a win. That's a total win. If you're trying to make progress and push forward and better yourself, that's a lot more than what a lot of other people do when they get into the situations that they get into. If you can fight through cancer, you can fight through alcoholism, you can fight through liver damage, you can fight through any situation that you're fighting through. There's so many stories out there on social media that I talk to people all the time that have just struggled to be able to just try to put one foot in front of the other because of what life has dealt them, but they still keep fighting. If they keep fighting, you should too. And you shouldn't sit there and wallow in your sorrows over the fact that you just don't feel like getting up this morning. You just kind of feel like, oh, I'm humdrum. I just don't feel like doing whatever it is. Or I feel really sad about myself right now, or whatever. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it does take for you to be able to go and get some professional help. But in the meantime, be proud of the fact that you are taking that step to go get that professional help. Be proud of the fact that you are able to recognize that you need that help, or recognize that you need to get in the right frame of mind to be able to be successful. Okay? So 2 things. Control the controllables. That's a big deal. Don't try to control the things that are firm. Don't try to control the things that you can't control, like the weather and like taxes, or those kind of things, or death, or any of those things. Don't try to control those. I mean, you can try to, with death, you want to prolong your life. That's great. Continue to invest in yourself. But I mean, if it happens in your life or around you, don't try to control that aspect of it. Control the controllables. Learn from mistakes that were made. Learn from different things that are happening and be able to continue to push forward and being a better version of yourself. And secondly, no matter what we're doing, no matter how hard we're working, no matter what we're trying to drive for, always, 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 don't forget to breathe and enjoy the moments. Breathe it in. Take some mental snapshots. Take some mental pictures to be able to say, oh, wow, this is a really good moment. I need to make sure I remember this, and maybe journal it or jot it down or do something to remember those moments. Enjoy it and breathe it out, okay? That's the podcast for today, guys. I'm hoping you have a great week, and we'll talk later. See ya. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms at Liquidshano 1973. And if you could do us a favor, pop on over to iTunes and show us some love and leave some feedback there for us. Talk later.